Greetings once again, my friends, and live from Retro Central, my name is Peter, and this is a special pickups video. As always, I thank you very much for taking the time to check out my work. I really do appreciate it. Strap yourselves in, because this video is going to take a little while. Between RetroWorld Expo this past weekend and a trip down to Retro Games Plus in Newington, Connecticut just a short time ago, I have a lot of stuff to show off, so I'm going to dispense with the pleasantries and I'm just going to get right into what I picked up. Let me show off what I picked up first from RetroWorld Expo, which was absolutely phenomenal. I hope I got a chance to see you there. If I didn't, it was a fantastic show, and I can almost guarantee at this point that there will be a second one next year, and hopefully it's going to be 2 days long. So, let us talk about what I got at that show. I didn't get a lot of retro stuff. And what I mean by that is cartridge-based stuff. I only found a few things. I talked a little bit about this on Twitter yesterday and today. NES games at the show were just crazy expensive. And I understand why that is. NES games are in high demand. The speculation bubble for NES games is just crazy out of control. I already have more than 200 NES games in my library, so it's not something that I desperately needed to fill in holes or something that I really wanted at this point anyway. So NES games were not really on my radar. I did find a couple of Super Nintendo games, however. This guy right here was pretty cheap. This is Pinball Dreams, which is published by GameTech, apparently. I don't see a date on here. It's a pinball game, and you know me with pinball games. If it says pinball in there somewhere, I'm going to want to try and play it. Interesting thing about this cartridge is on the back of the cartridge, it lists that it was at some point at Game Exchange in Wichita, Kansas. So it's made its way across the country to New England, so it's kind of cool to have that. Even though most people hate stickers, I'm fine with that. The other Super Nintendo game I got, and I'm really excited to have this. This is On the Ball, which was published by Taito for the Super Nintendo. Now, this game, you can play the arcade version of it on the Taito Legends 2 disc for the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox, but this is the Super Nintendo version I remember reading a lot about in video game magazines before it came out in stores, and unfortunately, I never had the chance to pick this up in stores when it came out, and I always kicked myself because I really wanted to play it. Any game with a lot of Mode 7 usage, that just blew me away back then. And the premise is fairly simple. You're just guiding a marble through a maze. It's almost like Irritating Stick in that aspect, where it's just a maze game, but its simplicity makes it so very playable because there's not a lot to understand. You just get the goal and that's it. So On the Ball, I did overpay for this, I think. I paid $10 for the cartridge. It's not in the best of shape, but I was just so happy to finally find a copy of this that I went ahead and bought it anyway. I did pick up one Genesis game. This is Road Rash, the original from 1991. I have Road Rash 2 in my library, which is arguably the best of the trilogy, but I didn't have either 1 or 3. And now I have 1. 1 obviously is where it all started. And to be honest with the Road Rash games, whether they're for the Genesis, the Sega CD, or the PlayStation, they are great games to play if you had a really bad day at work or just have a frustrating day in general, because there's nothing better than racing at 100 miles an hour and then beating the piss out of somebody along the way. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, I guess. So, Road Rash, I paid $9 for this. It is complete in box, though, so that's nice. We'll put that in there. I did get a Sega CD game as well. This is Wing Commander, which I was ridiculously excited to find as well. I have the first 2 Wing Commander game, or the 2 Wing Commander games for the Super Nintendo, being Wing Commander and then the Secret Missions. And I'm happy to have those. When I first got my PlayStation in 1995, it wasn't long before Wing Commander 3 and 4 made their way onto the console. I have not been able to find those in the wild around here, by the way, which is really frustrating. I'd like to get those back for the original PlayStation, but I never played the Sega CD version of Wing Commander, despite the fact that I had a Sega CD back when it was relevant. So I'm super happy to have found this. It was $15, so it's about where I kind of expected it to be, considering that it's complete. The disc is in good shape. There are some issues that I have with this. It looks like it got wet or was in water. There's some water damage to the back case here. And the instruction manual has a little bit of water damage to it, but it's still very playable, and I'm happy to find it. So that's Wing Commander. Now let's get to the disc-based games. As you've probably figured out, this year being the 20th anniversary of the PlayStation release here in the US, I've been big on collecting PlayStation games, and that continued not only during RetroWorld Expo, but also during my visit to Retro Games Plus today. But again, I'll get to that in a little bit. I just want to look at these games. Most of these games, as a matter of fact, I will show you all of the games that I got from the same vendor first. And I got these for a song. This here is Colony Wars 3 Red Sun, which is the last of the Colony Wars trilogy. I have the first Colony Wars game from 1997. A friend of mine on social media had sold that to me back in 2011 for an incredibly low price, and it was immaculate. I have a copy of Colony Wars Vengeance, which unfortunately the disc when I got it was very scratched up. It doesn't run very well, so I need to replace that. But I never got a chance to play Colony Wars 3, and now I'm finally going to be able to do it after 15 years. Interestingly enough, you can see the Midway logo on the lower right-hand corner. Midway actually picked up the publishing rights on this, and I'm grateful for that, because otherwise the game probably would not have seen a release. So, Colony Wars Red Sun, published by Midway, developed by Psygnosis from 2000, and I'm happy to have this. Very, very happy. This is one for the PlayStation, which was published by American Softworks in 1997. This looks like a run and gun, like a Contra clone, kind of sort of like Apocalypse, I'm guessing. When I mentioned on social media that I picked this up, there were a couple of people that are very excited about this, so I guess I picked a good game. But I haven't had a chance to play it yet, so I'll let you know what I think of it when I do. Here's Pro Pinball. Another pinball game, and the only one of the Pro Pinball games for the PlayStation that I did not own. So now I finally own it, and I'm happy with that. And WCW Mayhem, which I got because there's a fella on the internet. He has a YouTube channel. His name is Joe Gagney. He does Joe Gagney's Fun Time Wrestling Arcade, I believe is the name of it. I'll look it up. And he does nothing but cover wrestling video games. And because of his reviews and his approach, his writing, he's very witty, very funny. I've been buying a lot of wrestling video games in spite of myself, and this was one that I picked up basically because of his reviews. So I know nothing about this. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I picked this over the N64 version because of the extra commentary by Bobby the Brain and Mike Schiavone. So WCW Mayhem. Games that I didn't get from that vendor include this guy right here. This is Batman Forever, the arcade game, which was very expensive. Not very expensive, but certainly pricey. This was $40 for the disc. And I got the case, but I didn't get a manual for it. So I don't really know what's going on in this game. I had a chance to play it this morning, briefly, and I got my ass kicked because I didn't know what the hell was going on. But the game is certainly an arcade game. There's a lot of mayhem going on all around you. There are bad guys coming at you left and right. You go through continues like water. The sound is awesome. And even though the game has its flaws, it's so over the top and so crazy that, yeah, I mean, I'm glad I got it. I would never have known about this game if it wasn't for the replay crew over at Game Informer magazine. And this was back when Dan Reichert was on the team. He and Tim Turi, I believe, were playing this game for replay and just had a blast while they were playing it. And when I saw it on replay, it was one of those games, kind of like Billy and Jay from the Game Chasers. I had to have it. So when I saw it at the show, even though I'm sure I probably overspent, I was glad to have it and actually experience it for myself. And now it's nice to have it in my collection. Being an arcade game guy, having an arcade game, I mean, can't beat it. Especially one that I hadn't played until today. That was pretty exciting. This is Final Fantasy Tactics. This was very much a peer pressure purchase. And what I mean by that is I really didn't want to buy this game. I had played it back in 1990. This came out in, they don't even give the original date, but I think it came out after or right around the same time that Final Fantasy VII did. I forget the exact year, but I bought it not too long after that. Using a coupon from Sears Funtronics, if you remember those coupons in video game magazines. So I got a little bit of money off of it. and I was terrible at it. The music is great. I like the artwork and the character design, but I just terrible. RPGs for me are turn-based. I enter a command, then the computer enters a command, and we go back and forth. Moving my characters around on a grid and trying to position them in just the right spot to do damage and such is a concept that I really don't understand. But now that I have the game again, maybe I'll give it another try and see what happens. Now I have many of the Final Fantasy games for the PlayStation. There are a couple that I'm missing, like Chocobo's Dungeon and or Chocobo Racing and a couple of others. But now I have this one. So peer pressure, damn you people. This is Resident Evil Director's Cut, and the reason that I picked this up, I paid $10, by the way, for Final Fantasy Tactics in this game from the same vendor. So $10 each. I don't know if those are good deals or not. When I found Resident Evil 3 Nemesis at local Salvation Army for $2, I decided at that point that it was just fate. I needed to start getting the rest of the Resident Evil games because, well, even though I'm not very good at them, or like this original Resident Evil game, I haven't played this at all. It's just something to have. Resident Evil as a series has been around for a long time. There are a lot of jokes about the voice acting. The puzzle solving is interesting. The jump scares, the whole 9 yards. So I figured I would give this a shot. And of course it supports the dual analog sticks, so why not give it a whirl? So now I just need Resident Evil 2, which I'm hoping to find sometime in the not too distant future. Maybe from Game Depot, if I can find it there. Also, this is in the NBA in the Zone, which is a long box game, which I was happy to find. Paid $1 for this. And yeah, it's a sports game. You can pick on sports games all you want, but sports games are kind of my bread and butter. And the interesting thing about this is that it is complete. It does have the foam insert, although it's glued to the inside for whatever reason. I don't understand why that was done. But the manual is here and the disc is here. So NBA in the Zone for $1. Why not? And the last PlayStation game, and this is where I'm going to make a little bit of history. This is Blast Chamber, which I got from the same vendor that I got a lot of the other games from. He was selling this for $10 brand new, and he sold it to me for half that. So I paid $5 for this. It is still sealed, factory sealed. And as I do with every other sealed game that I show off on pickups, I'm going to open this guy right now. Hopefully this will not take forever, because the video is also already running long, and I haven't gotten to the Retro Games Plus stuff. But here we go. Trying to get the plastic off. I don't know why my phone did that. I thought I set it to do not disturb, but whatever. So there's the case, and I have to just take off the seal. We'll see if there's anything else other than the disc and the manual in here. I don't know whether Activision was big on putting extra stuff in their CD cases. We'll see. My guess is no, because it's Activision. Let's see. Nope. Blue disc, and we'll turn it around so you can see the design. It's nothing exciting. And the manual still has a warranty card that I could send to Activision in Los Angeles, California, if I decided to do that. But Blast Chamber. The interesting thing about Blast Chamber, by the way, I didn't just buy this at random. Blast Chamber came out in 1996 for the PlayStation, and a girl that I was seeing at the time actually owned this game. I didn't own it. And we used to play it at her house and have a ball with it, even though I was terrible at it. I never wound up buying my own copy of the game because when the relationship ended, of course, being a 20-something, I was bitter and brooding about the fact that she dumped me. But after seeing it, when I saw it all these years later, I figured I would finally just jump on it and try and play it again. So Blast Chamber, and I got a chance to open it on camera. So all of you collectors can hate me. The rest of you can cheer, whatever. I don't know. Two more things from RetroWorld, and I know this is running long, but I warned you that this is going to be a long video. This here is Shadow Hearts Covenant, which, again, published by Midway. This is basically Shadow Hearts 2. I played the original Shadow Hearts game when it first came out. I like the Judgment Wheel or Judgment Ring, whatever you want to call it. I like that mechanic, but I wound up trading the game in after not too long. I don't really have a good reason or excuse why I did that. I'm kicking myself, obviously, today because the Shadow Hearts games are pretty valuable. But when I picked up Shadow Hearts from the New World from Game Depot with the strategy guide earlier this year, I figured that if I saw the other Shadow Hearts games and I wasn't going to be paying like $50 a piece for them, that I would go ahead and I would grab them. And this was only $30 with 10% off, so it was actually $27. The discs are in immaculate shape. And you're not going to be able to see it because the lighting in here is kind of dim. But there are 2 discs in this set, and the manual is in pristine shape. So Shadow Hearts 2, or Shadow Hearts Covenant, published by Midway, developed by Iruz and Nautilus, it looks like. And the other game that I got for the PS2 at RetroWorld Expo is Wild Arms Alter Code F. This is a remake, kind of the 1997 RPG from Sony Computer Entertainment America, developed by Mediavision. And I always had a soft spot in my heart for the original Wild Arms because it had come out before Final Fantasy VII, and then kind of got lost in the shuffle after that. Earlier this year at Game Hunters in Springfield, Mass., I picked up both Wild Arms and Wild Arms 2 for the original PlayStation. And I always thought that if I could find this for the PS2, I could play it to see what the differences were between the original and this game. But I could never find it locally. And sure enough, it was at the Game Exchange booth at RetroWorld Expo, so I went ahead and bought it. The sticker price on here is $43, and it didn't come with the anime disc, which I'm not that upset about. But again, 10% off, so minus $4.30, so like $38 or so for this, which I think is fine, considering that even though it doesn't come with the anime disc, it does come with the manual, and the disc is in good shape. So that is Wild Arms Alter Code F. I also did, and I wasn't going to show these because they're sports games, but I figured I would just because I have been wanting to upgrade my GameCube collection, and I bought these. These were $10 for the both. NHL Hits, again, another Midway game, although you can't see, there's the Midway logo down there. I'm a sucker for Midway games, so that was kind of a no-brainer. But this guy right here, Sega Soccer Slam, I actually have fond memories of from the early GameCube launch window library. I actually played this quite a bit. It's an arcade-style soccer game. I don't understand soccer otherwise, but this was a lot of fun to play. And then I had traded that in like months later. I found the PlayStation 2 version of this back when GameStop was clearing out their PS2 games at 75% off. So I got that disc only and was disappointed because the game runs pretty haggardly. The frame rate's kind of stuttery. But the GameCube version does run better than that. And it is very, very fun to play. So I did get both of those. So my GameCube library ticked up 2 notches, and that is a plus. So that is RetroWorld Expo. Now, let's talk about my trip to Retro Games Plus, because I got a lot of stuff from there today. I'm not going to show you each of these because they're sports games, but all of these games here, yeah, that I got between $1 and $3 a piece. A couple of these wound up being free because of their buy two get one on original PlayStation games. One of note here is NASCAR Rumble, which I always wanted to play and never did, so now I actually get a chance to play that. And I never played these either. Let me see if I can just get them here without making a mess. The Motocross Mania games. I bought the third game for the PlayStation 2, but never played the first 2, and now I can. So, sports games, I know you're not interested in those, so I'm just going to move away from those and talk about the other stuff that I got. Okay, so the first thing I saw when I was looking around in the cabinets at Retro Games Plus was something that I wanted to get, and it just so happened to be timely that I found it after what I found at RetroWorld Expo during the weekend. This is Road Rash 3, so now I have the entire Road Rash trilogy for the Genesis, and I am ridiculously excited about that. And I know I've said that a bunch of times in this video, but it's unscripted, so who cares? I never played this. I played the original Road Rash a little, and Road Rash 2, obviously, I played to death. But never played Road Rash 3. And this game is 20 years old now. Yes, you feeling old. 20 years old. It's going to be old enough to drink next year. Game does come with the manual. There is, looks like it's a poster for something. No, it's not a poster really. It's just kind of a fold-out that shows the rest of the games that are coming out. Urban Strike, Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City. There's the Road Rash 3. Shaq Fu. Oh boy. But yeah. And I can also, if I decided I want to cut it out, I can register my copy of Road Rash 3 if I wanted to do that. And the post office would not be able to deliver it because I'm sure that address and post office box don't exist anymore. So that's Road Rash 3. So now I have all 3 Road Rash games for the Genesis, and I have Road Rash for the Sega CD. So I am Road Rashed out. So I was talking to you about GameCube a little while ago. This is Capcom versus SNK2 EO. And the price tag on here is $14.95, but because it's loose, Retro Games Plus does this thing where they give you 50% off the sticker price. So instead of $15, I paid $7.50 for this particular game. I don't know if that's a good deal or not, but I'm a Street Fighter guy, I'm a Capcom fighting game guy, and I figured I would give this a whirl. I don't know how it's going to control with the GameCube controller. I'm honestly a little bit nervous about it, but when I saw it, I figured I would give it a shot, especially for that price. Also for the GameCube, and I can thank the GameSack guys for this. If you haven't watched the GameSack channel, do yourself a favor and subscribe. Do it after this video, by the way. Don't leave now. But GameSack, Joe Redifer from GameSack talked a lot about the original Super Monkey Ball and how it is better than Super Monkey Ball 2 in his opinion. I had Super Monkey Ball 2 already, but I didn't have the original. So when I saw this, I figured I would go ahead and grab it. Joe and Dave were talking about Monkey Target and how it plays a little bit better in this version than in this game than in the sequel. So that's why I got it. So Joe and Dave, I blame you for this $13, and I do it out of love because I'm glad you convinced me to do so. I'm going to show off the PS2 stuff now, and then I'll show off the PlayStation stuff because that's where a majority of it is. This here is Bully, which I played very briefly for the PS2, and then I played the Xbox 360 version briefly as well. But since I'm collecting a lot of PS2 games, I figured now would be a good time to put it back in my library. This, of course, got that open world sandbox feel from Grand Theft Auto, but takes place on schoolyard grounds. And it's a T game rather than an M game, so that's pretty interesting. So that's Bully. Also, this is Legaia 2. Now, I used to have this game, and I gave it, or traded it, one of the two, to my buddy Sam Hicks. And when I saw this, I figured I would just get it again, because I guess RPGs have kind of been the theme over the last couple of days. I don't know anything about this. When I originally had it, I never took the time to play it. Reviews were not very good from what I've read. But for $7 for an RPG, I figured I would just give it another shot, or at the very least have it in my library. Hey, look, it's another Midway game. It's LA Rush, a game that I'm sure is going to be very bad. This was during the tail end of Midway's lifespan in game development. And I don't even know whether Midway actually developed this internally or not. This obviously is capitalizes on their Rush franchise. So I don't know much about this game. I have not played it yet. Promises that there are 350 miles of famous streets and freeways of LA. Well, we'll see. The music CD that the front of the case says might be here, unfortunately, is not. I am not all that disappointed. This is SSX on Tour, which is the only SSX game for the PS2 that I did not own. So when I found it, I figured I would grab it. I know nothing about this game except for the fact that it says SSX on the cover, and apparently you can ski. That's about all I know. So no opinion on this one yet. And here's a dog's life, or dog's life. I have a pug, and before I had a pug, there was a chocolate lab in my life, so I've been a dog person for basically the last 8 to 10 years. And now I get to be a dog in a video game, and I actually saw the Game Informer replay guys do a Let's Play of this, and it looked pretty hilarious too. So, dog's life. Again, don't know much about it myself, haven't played it, but I'm looking forward to doing so. Okay. With those out of the way, let me go ahead and show off what I got for the PlayStation. Again, PlayStation has been my area of focus this year. And I'm going to take this game out of the case because you're not going to be able to see it otherwise. This, yep, and I guess I'll just open this. Oh gosh, I really don't want to drop it. These thin cases, man. This is Bloody Roar 2, which was disc only. And the sticker price on here was $25, but again with the 50%, so I got it for $12.50. I was talking online with someone on social media about Bloody Roar recently. So when I saw this, it just kind of made sense. And I always told myself that if I saw a Bloody Roar game in the wild, I was going to grab it. So Bloody Roar 2 for the original PlayStation. I did also see the Bloody Roar Primal Fury game or something like that for the GameCube there, but it was $20, and I just I couldn't pull the trigger on it this time. So Bloody Roar 2. Next up, another loose disc game that again I got 50% off on. This is, and if I can open it up, there we go. This is Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. The sticker price on here is $15, so $7.50 is what the final tally was on this. And actually, this was one of the free games I got because as long as the games were $9 or less for the PlayStation, it was buy two get one. So I made out like a bandit. So now I have Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3. I'm just missing the original and Crash Team Racing. You know, I never really played this game. I played Crash Bandicoot 3 a little bit in 1998 when I was working for Funcoland, but never really played the second one, so this is going to be a new experience for me. I'm looking forward to that. Next up, Halloween is coming up at the end of this month, and I thought, what better time to grab this game than now? This is Muppet Monster Adventure for the PlayStation. And yes, you did see this correctly. That is the Midway logo in the lower right-hand corner. So another Midway published game. And I just thought, when I saw it in the cabinet, that it was just timely. Again, with Halloween coming at the end of the month, I figured it'd be fun to play through this. I do remember, I think it was a demo of this I played. This is back from 2000, so this game's 15 years old now. So I remember playing a demo of this and thinking it was pretty cute. I think if I remember right, it's more of like a collectathon. There's a bunch of stuff you have to collect. It's almost similar to the Gex, the later Gex games from Crystal Dynamics. But it'll be nice to play the full game after 15 years. So Muppet Monster Adventure. This here is Road and Track Presents The Need for Speed, which is a port, kind of, sort of the 3DO version. If you've watched the Lazy Game Reviews YouTube channel, and I sure hope that you have because Clint is awesome, he reviewed a lot of the Need for Speed series in I think it was a 2-part video that he did. I originally had Need for Speed for the 3DO when I had my 3DO, but I never had the PlayStation port until now, and I've always been looking for it, and now I have it. The disc, of course, looks kind of neat. It has the engine on the front there. So looking forward to playing this. I have Need for Speed 2 and 3 and High Stakes, but I didn't have this one, so now I do. Pretty excited for that. This is from... Let's see if it gives me a year. It doesn't give me a year. I think this came out either in 95 or 96, but I was really excited to find this. So, hey Clint, how you doing? All right. Oh, hey, it's another Midway game. This is San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing for the PlayStation. I think this is bad. As a matter of fact, if I remember right, the reviews really trashed this game. But again, it's a Midway game and one that I wanted to get, so we'll see how good or bad this is. This was converted by Climax, actually, which I did not know. Climax Entertainment has done several racing games before, so we'll see how bad this is when I get a chance to play it. This is from 96. Another pinball game. This is Austin Powers Pinball, which was released in 2002, so it's not really that old a game and came out very late in the PlayStation's lifespan. Again, I'm a pinball fan, and this says here that Robert Wagner and Mike Myers do voice work for the game, so we'll see if this is any good. My spider sense tells me no, but we'll see. This here's Thunder Truck Rally. This is developed by... who is it developed by? I don't know. Is it Reflections? This might be developed by Reflections, from the makers of Destruction Derby, from 1997. So we'll see how this is. I don't know anything about this. I've never played it, but I figured for $3, why not? Here's Jet Moto 2. I have the first game, so I figured it made sense to get the second. Oh, good. This case is not shattered. So here's the disc here. And we'll see how this is. I have not played this game, so we'll see. Animaniacs 10-Pin Alley. I'm a bowling fan. I don't know if I've ever told you that or said that on video before, but I used to bowl on leagues a lot in the 1990s. So bowling video games, when I see them, I try and pick them up when I can, especially if they're really good. One of the reasons why I'm hoping before the end of the year to get a Wii might be on my Christmas list. But Animaniacs 10-Pin Alley. I mean, it's Warner Brothers. It's bowling. How can you go wrong, right? Just a few more to go. This is Invasion from Beyond, which I know nothing about. The only thing I can see on here is that someone originally had bought this from Savers for $3. There's the sticker there. And it came out in 1998, and it promises, and I quote, sense-shattering 3D explosions at an incredible 50 frames per second. This is Earth's Greatest Hour, Earth's Last Stand. Okay, well, we'll see how this is. It's a disaster movie. How can you go wrong? This here is Machine Head, which is from Core Design and IDOS, and I know nothing about this either, except for the fact that it is another game that's pretty early in the PlayStation lifespan, and those games are the ones that interest me the most because those are the ones that are going to be more recognized because of the 20th anniversary. So again, I know nothing about this. The disc is in good shape, and when I do play it, I will share my opinion of it. What we got? 4 more. All right, let's move through these real quick. This is Pool Hustler from Activision, and this is a nostalgia grab. There were 2 pool games that I distinctly remember from my time at Funcoland that people used to ask about. One of them is Backstreet Billiards, which I own, and the other one is this guy right here, Pool Hustler. What's interesting about Pool Hustler, when I was looking at the manual, where is it? There are some pictures of the characters, because there's a story mode that's going on here. You want to make some money? I feel more at home in a basement. Too much time spent in prison, I guess. And then there's a guy by the name of Nicholas that looks like Kevin Spacey with a beard. It's seedy, but it's a pool game at heart, and it looks like it comes from a Japanese developer. It comes from Ask. So why not? I'll give it a shot. So Pool Hustler. Here's Bravo Air Race, which I know nothing about. This is a THQ game, RIP THQ. This game is from 1997, so another 1997 video game. So yeah, I know nothing about this, but it was cheap, so why not? And it's a racing game with planes. I mean, how bad could it be? Yeah. This here's Test Drive 6. Now, I remember this more on the Dreamcast than on the original PlayStation, so I actually didn't play the original PlayStation version of this. What's interesting to me, and the thing that I remember about this game most, is Gary Newman and Fear Factory's Cars. They actually play part of the music video during the intro sequence to this game. And I used to play that video pretty much nonstop in the Funcoland store when the game was new. So looks like there's AI police. That's pretty interesting. Unique car combinations, environmental audio, breakable objects, and collidable obstacles. Okay. And this is from 1999. So yeah, this was when I was managing Funcoland in Springfield. And last but not least, because I know this video is run forever, this is Wheel of Fortune 2nd Edition. I am a big fan of game show video games. I know at some point I want to do a consolation episode based on game show video games, but this was one that I wanted to have because Wheel of Fortune is just fun to play. And that is that. I have talked a lot. I've shown off a lot of stuff, but it's been an incredible weekend. Unfortunately, I go back to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to have a lot of opportunity to play these games over the next few days, but my collection continues to grow, and I'm very excited about that. PlayStation, of course, one of my favorite consoles of all time, so it's nice to be able to find some games on the cheap and continue to build my library. Also nice to find some GameCube games as well. I've been neglecting that particular segment or that particular platform in my retro library, so it's nice to get some of those games. And of course, getting some RPGs for the PS2, certainly nice finds at RetroWorld Expo. So that's it for this pickups video. I promise no more of these for another month. I will do another one in November when I talk about more site updates. As always, I thank you very much for watching this video. And until the next one comes, my friends, the next consolation video later this week, take care.